I'm Brie Swenson-Arnold. I'm Associate Professor of History at Coe College in Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Awesome, thank you.
I really think it was an utter surprise to hear that I'd been named for this award, and then when I found out that an individual student had brought forward the nomination and got to read a little bit about what she said. That really is the best part of the whole award, to know how much individual students, individual community members, people who are involved, value this particular project, but also more broadly, I think, value community connection and collaboration and engagement. And the student who did the nominating was part of this research that went into the historical markers project we did at Cedar Rapids. So I had long been working with the African American Museum of Iowa in Cedar Rapids on different lectures, helping to consult whenever they asked about exhibit content, or bringing my students to their class to have tours or to meet with staff. So we had a nice working relationship in place for many years, and we had done a bunch of research, my students and I, about the African American history of Cedar Rapids, and said, if you're interested, we'd love to share this with you. And we had partnered to develop a tour and some other materials. And we thought, that would be really great if we could actually put up some signs around town, because a lot of these places kind of no longer physically exist. And this was sort of always a dream, to put up historical markers. And we happened to read in the Cedar Rapids Gazette about the city of Cedar Rapids doing a historical marker project where they were planning to install those markers. And we reached out to them saying, hey, we have a whole bunch of research. I'm not sure if you're taking any recommendations or suggestions for places to commemorate, but we'd love to collaborate or work with you in any way that you might find useful. And they said, great, this is fantastic, come in, let's meet, let's talk about it. And months later, as things kind of progressed, we ended up being able to collaborate between the African American Museum, the city of Cedar Rapids, the History Center of Cedar Rapids, and many other local businesses, individual community members, other museums and nonprofit organizations, neighborhood organizations. We had several dozen different community partners that in one way, shape, or form contributed to the project. So it was something that, kind of just sort of emerged organically, but we were able to, over the course of the project, make the Markers project in Cedar Rapids one that included a wider array of stories than maybe was originally envisioned. So our research was focused on women's history, African American history, working class history of Cedar Rapids, and a lot of those stories weren't, kind of initially thought of or slated for inclusion in the Marker project, largely because we, the African American Museum and my students, were some of the first people to kind of dig up more of that information. So it was a great opportunity to kind of bring all of those things together and make the project for the city a little more inclusive, a little bit more diverse, but also to just bring a lot of partners together who had maybe been kind of all thinking of doing the same thing, but we didn't know we were doing the same thing, and to bring everyone together and really just make it, I think, a richer project in the end. And everyone was amazingly collaborative and so much fun to work with, and just really excited to be asked to be involved in the project. And it just really grew and expanded, so that a lot of people were able to contribute to the project, have their story, their voice heard, and in the end it was just really, I think, one of the most enriching, rewarding, interesting projects that I've had an opportunity to work on in any kind of capacity, as a scholar or someone who's volunteered in community organizations before. It just really was one of the coolest things I've ever had a chance to work on. I'm really proud of it, and proud of the collaboration that we were able to help facilitate. I've got all kinds of other things in the works now with, thinking about scholarship of community engagement, working on an article with some of our community partners and students. So that is something that really had never crossed my mind before. So I'm really grateful for that, and that has been another great thing. So, yeah. So everybody do community engagement, because it keeps giving and giving in all kinds of ways. I'm also really grateful to Campus Compact for helping me to think about how this project has changed me as a teacher and as a scholar. So a lot of the workshops and fellowships that are offered through Campus Compact, particularly one that I attended, was about thinking about your community engagement in terms of scholarship as well. And I had thought of this in pedagogical dimensions for all the impact on students and on teaching, and definitely thought about this in terms of the impact on community partners and the community organizations that we were involved in. But I hadn't really thought about how these mountains of work that we had done together had also kind of shaped me as a researcher and a scholar, and the ways that I could use that. So I'm really grateful for those opportunities through Campus Compact too, because that's really added another dimension and been yet another way in which community engaged work has continued to give and give and give pedagogically, and in terms of the community and in terms of my growth as a scholar. So I'm really thankful for that.